There's been many times 50 Cent's goons have ended his beefs, violently in many cases. For example, there's that time they jumped Gunplay for disrespecting him. And then there's the time they beat up and robbed Slowbucks.
As soon as they pull the dumb, Slow gotta get it. Slow got his jaw broke.
In one case, they even stabbed a guy for doing too much.
Suddenly, you can see a shiny knife in his right hand. He lunges over the top with a stabbing motion. Police say that is 23-year-old young buck who then vanished.
These guys definitely threw down for 50 Cent at any chance, so for the Gunplay incident. Back in 2012 at the BET Hip Hop Awards, things got real messy when Gunplay ended up in the middle of a serious altercation with G-Unit. Video footage from that night showed Gunplay getting tossed into a metal barricade, and it was not pretty. Now the footage was shaky, but it clearly showed 50 Cent and his entourage in the parking lot when all hell broke loose. While it is hard to say for sure if 50 himself threw any punches, someone is heard on the recording saying, "That was 50 fighting too."
Got that. Yo, who was that? 50 fighting?
Yo, we're 50 fighting too. Word?
Yeah.
Gunplay, outnumbered and taking heavy hits, somehow managed to fight back. But before things could get even worse, police rushed in, spraying mace to break up the melee. So what led to this? Apparently Gunplay was standing somewhere he wasn't supposed to be, and when people told him to move, he refused, and that decision cost him.
You got people from Interscope telling him to go another way. He's being told this multiple times to go another way. And he realizes in the process of being told that he see us back there. I think that even said to him, "You know you're not supposed to be here right now." And then he got punched in the mouth. And after he got punched, he got his ass beat.
Now Gunplay was not the only one who took an L at the hands of G-Unit. Up next we got Slowbucks. This one went down in 2014 at Hot 97's Summer Jam. Slowbucks was out there on stage, feeling himself, when out of nowhere he gets punched and robbed for his chain. Rumors started swirling that 50 Cent was the mastermind behind it. Let's break this down. Once upon a time, Slowbucks and 50 were cool. 50 even co-signed him, which was a huge deal.
It's your boy 50, your man, my man Slow. You already know what time it is. Slowbucks is going down right here real big. Cooking up something new, working on a new album.
But things changed when Slowbucks started hanging with the ops, people that 50 was beefing with. Not only that, but he was out here appearing in diss track videos. That was a big mistake.
For my haters, say a prayer for my enemies.
If there is one thing about 50 Cent, it is that you do not want to be on his bad side. Even Tony Yayo once said that if you are beefing with 50, your best bet is to just stay away. Slowbucks clearly did not get that memo.
You know what happened. 50's crazy, man. Just stay away from that's it. Stay away from 50. He's really like that, man. And you know, it's no disrespect to Slow and them. We was cool at a moment, but sometimes things just change, and that's just life.
And it was not just Yayo saying this. Trav, who had already experienced firsthand what happens when you cross 50, said that Slowbucks should not have stepped onto that Summer Jam stage.
How I felt about the situation is he should have never been on that stage. He know that. He should have never been on that man's stage.
Next up is the drama between Dr. Dre, G-Unit, and Suge Knight. It all went down at around 7:25 p.m. at the 2004 Vibe Awards, just as Dr. Dre was about to receive the Lifetime Achievement Award from Snoop Dogg and Quincy Jones.
We came here tonight to honor somebody that I love and I respect most props to, Dr. Dre.
Out of nowhere, a man named Jimmy James Johnson approached Dre, acting like he just wanted an autograph. But instead of pulling out a pen, he threw a punch right at Dre, catching everyone off guard. The place instantly erupted into a full-on brawl. People were pushing, shoving, and even throwing chairs as the situation spiraled out of control. Reports say around 1,000 people from the audience rushed toward the exits, trying to get away from the madness. And right in the middle of it all was young Buck from G Unit, armed with a knife. Witnesses saw him swinging it, and later it was confirmed that he had stabbed Johnson in defense of Dre.
Suddenly, you could see a shiny knife in his right hand. He lunges over the top with a stabbing motion. Police say that is 23-year-old young Buck, who then vanished.
But Buck was not the only one who got to Johnson. Multiple people attacked him that night. It got so bad that arrest warrants were issued for Buck, and he was facing some serious legal trouble.
Entertainer, also known as Young Buck, was charged in connection with an attack Monday night at the Vibe Awards.
Mr. Brown was arrested for 1 count of attempted murder and 1 count of assault with a deadly weapon.
Now, while no one could say for sure if Suge Knight was behind the attack, it definitely looked suspicious. According to Tony Yayo, the G Unit crew saw Suge Knight and Irv Gotti walking past their trailer, and that was enough to put them on high alert.
I want to say we were scared, but it was the Vibe Awards when we seen Suge Knight and Irv Gotti, and they walked past the trailer.
Next up, we got Bang'em Smurf, Domination, and G Unit. The fallout between these two former G Unit affiliates and 50 Cent was nothing short of dramatic. Things got so heated that it even turned physical at times. But before all the beef, before the tension, Bang'em Smurf and 50 were not just friends. They were like brothers. They came up together, did business together, and even formed G Unit together back when it was more of a street movement than a rap group.
It started off as a real street gang. G Unit shit started off on some rap, but we ain't started for no rap. Started off on the streets, my gang shit.
When 50 Cent started Hollow Point Entertainment around 1999, he actually gave Bang'em Smurf a 17% stake in the company. At the time, 50 was laser focused on his dream of becoming a rap superstar, grinding hard to make it happen. Meanwhile, Smurf was content staying in the streets, making his money selling crack and heroin. He had built a reputation for himself as a real deal gangster, someone not to be played with. He was not thinking about mainstream success. He was just about that life. But then everything changed. The moment that shifted 50 Cent's entire mindset was the infamous shooting, when he got hit 9 times and somehow survived. That near-death experience made him rethink everything. He did not want to be in the streets anymore. He wanted to build something bigger. From that point on, his focus was all about turning G Unit into a legitimate rap crew and making Hollow Point Entertainment a powerhouse label.
So at the end of the day, 50 came down, we had a little meeting and shit, so he was letting me know, like, yo, Bang'em, man, I need you on my team and shit. I'm about to start a new crew, I'm about to come back heavy, man. I told homie, man, it's an honor, man, whatever you need done, I can get it done, because at the end of the day, I'm in the streets slinging crack, busting my gun anyway. So if there's money involved and we can get rich, whatever you need me to do.
For the next few years, 50 and Smurf worked together to bring that vision to life. By 2002, their grind was finally paying off. They dropped Guess Who's Back, a mixtape that caught the attention of Eminem. That cosign changed everything. Suddenly, 50 Cent was on the fast track to superstardom, and it looked like Bang'em Smurf would be right there with him. In the early days of 50's career, Smurf was everywhere. 50 used to name drop him in his tracks, the most notable being his verse on Mobb Deep's Bump That. Smurf was always by his side, playing the role of his right-hand man, his self-proclaimed head of security. Whenever 50 was around, Smurf was not far behind. He was loud, hyped, and always making his presence known, so much so that a lot of people assumed he was a rapper. His over-the-top energy became his signature, and his crazy ad-libs and wild rants at the end of songs made him stand out. He even made a cameo in the Inda Club music video, which at the time was a huge look. But that is right around when things started going left. See, by then 50 had completely outgrown the street life. He wanted to leave all that behind, focus on the music, and build his empire. But Smurf was still knee-deep in the streets.
Bang'em had potential, but he made the mistake of thinking just being on the road meant he already made it. He started drinking his own juice before he proved anything.
That was the first crack in their relationship. Then came an incident involving 50's road manager that changed everything. As a result, 50 made the decision to send Smurf and the rest of his old crew back to the hood for a few months, telling them they needed to get their heads straight. During that time, Smurf tried to reach out. He left messages, tried to get in touch, hoping for a response from 50, but nothing.
He sent me on I was in the hood 4 months. Yeah. When he sent me on 4 months on top of that. 4 months. No phone call, no words, no how this is he okay? No, none of that.
And that's when Smurf started linking up with Domination. Now, depending on who you ask, Domination was either a former G-Unit member, an affiliate, or just a rapper that the crew was developing. Whatever the case, after Smurf and 50 started drifting apart, Domination stepped up as Smurf's new right-hand man. The two became close, and Domination always had Smurf's back. Meanwhile, 50 Cent's career was skyrocketing. He dropped Get Rich or Die Tryin, and the album went platinum with ease. He was becoming one of the biggest names in the game. Smurf, on the other hand, was dealing with legal trouble. He got caught up in a case involving reckless endangerment and criminal possession of a firearm. 50 was on stage, doing his thing, performing in front of thousands of fans, when Smurf and Domination decided to pull up with a whole crew from the hood, and they were there to make a statement. From the crowd, they started taunting 50. At first, 50 ignored it. He was on stage, focused on the performance, but Smurf and his crew were not letting up. In the middle of his set, 50 grabbed a bottle of water and chucked it right at them, soaking Smurf and his whole crew. That was the moment everything went completely off the rails. Smurf and his crew tried to jump the barricade and rush the stage, ready to take things from words to hands. But security was not about to let that happen. They swarmed in, blocking Smurf before he could get anywhere near 50. That did not stop the chaos, though. Smurf's crew was not about to let it slide, and before anyone knew it, they were hurling chairs straight at 50 from the crowd. But while Smurf was caught up in the heat of the moment, 50 was making moves behind the scenes. Around this same time, he quietly pushed Smurf out of their joint company, Hollow Point Entertainment. Smurf did not even see it coming. He was so wrapped up in the street drama that he did not pay attention to the business side of things. And according to 50, that is exactly why it was so easy for him to take Smurf's share. Because Smurf was not sharp when it came to paperwork and legal matters. 50 took full advantage of that.
So I tell him, go to the lawyer's office, you sign the papers. He got $10,000 for you. Take the $10,000, that's that.
By the time Smurf realized what had happened, it was too late. He was out. He lost his stake in the company he helped build, and there wasn't much he could do about it. But despite that setback, Smurf and Domination were not done. They still had their music, and they formed the Silverback Gorillas, a street-heavy group that was gaining respect in the underground scene. But Smurf could not shake the trouble that always seemed to follow him. No matter how much noise he made with music, his street ties kept dragging him back into the same cycle. Eventually, he landed himself back in prison, and this time, the consequences were even worse than he expected. After serving his time, Smurf was finally released in 2008, but instead of getting a fresh start, he was hit with something he never saw coming: deportation. Just like that, he was forced to leave the US and sent back to Trinidad and Tobago. Being deported was a whole new kind of struggle for Smurf. He had grown up in Queens, New York. His life, his kids, his entire world was in the US now. He was in a country that, while familiar, felt foreign to him. Meanwhile, 50 Cent was sitting comfortably at the top, watching it all unfold. When he was asked about Smurf's situation, he made it clear that he felt like he had won, that he had the last laugh.
That's my baby. You understand what I'm saying? Smurf is my baby boy. He's upset and he get confused. When he gets confused, you know what he do? He get angry. Because he doesn't understand.
Next up is Joe Budden. He and 50 Cent's beef has been brewing for decades, but recently, things got real when 50 and his crew almost caught Budden slipping at a strip club in Queens. Budden himself admitted it on his podcast, recalling how he had a close call at Mermaids, a well-known club in Queens.
I want to say I'm happy that you made it home safe.
I'll be down to play too. It's true as hell. I was 2 steps Out of there.
He had barely stepped out when 50 took to Instagram to call him out, posting, "Why you just left out of Mermaids so fast, Joe? It's starting to get spooky, right?" Now, the reason behind this latest round of drama, it all kicked off when Budden publicly criticized 50 for what he saw as disrespectful behavior following the death of Irv Gotti. 50 had posted something that seemed to mock Gotti's passing, and Budden called 50 out, saying he was being reckless and insensitive. 50 fired back in classic 50 Cent fashion. He started straight up trolling Budden. He dragged Budden's name through the mud, made fun of him, threw jabs about his past legal troubles, and even went as far as making AI-generated pictures of Budden and posting them all over social media. Every single day for a week, 50 was coming for Budden, clowning him non-stop. Budden tried to brush it off at first, but after a full week of this, he had enough. On his podcast, he made it clear that if 50 kept pushing it, he was ready to take legal action. As expected, 50 found the whole thing hilarious. He laughed off Budden's warning and kept it pushing, making it clear that if Budden wanted to go the legal route, he was more than ready for the smoke. Now, if you have been following hip-hop for a while, you know this is not the first time these two have clashed. The history between them runs deep. It goes all the way back to the early 2000s. Back in 2002, Joe Budden was the new kid on the block. He had just signed a major deal with Def Jam and was making waves in the industry. Around the same time, 50 Cent was already a monster in the game. He was everywhere and nobody could ignore his rise. But word on the street started spreading that this young Joe Budden guy might be a problem. And as more people began talking about Budden's talent, 50 made it clear that he was not feeling him. By 2003, 50 took his shots. He was featured in a special edition of XXL magazine, a whole issue dedicated to him. And in a section called Step Your Rap Game Up, he made sure to single out Joe Budden. He clowned him, said he lacked street credibility, and even went as far as calling one of his lyrics straight up garbage. Budden was not about to let that slide. He wasted no time getting in the booth and recording a response. He hopped on DJ Clue's Track Bang Out and sent a subliminal but obvious shot at 50.
Jump out, box out. What good is your bulletproof truck when you gotta hop out?
Since 50 was known for flaunting his armored vehicle and had recently dropped a mixtape called Bulletproof, fans quickly connected the dots. The streets were buzzing with excitement over the brewing beef, and most people agreed on one thing. Lyrically, Budden could probably out-rap 50. But here's the thing, 50 was at the top of the world at this point. He was not about to go back and forth with Joe Budden when he had bigger things to focus on. Instead, he sent his G-Unit soldiers to handle the dirty work. Lloyd Banks and co. stepped in, trading diss tracks with Budden while 50 mostly sat back and watched. He threw in a jab or two here and there, clowning Budden whenever he felt like it, but he never really put much energy into the beef. He let his crew take care of it.
Hey, I'm come back, we gon' clap back, we gon' clap back.
Ja Rule. Joe Budden. There is. It's a three-way tie. It's a three-way tie. All three of you suck.
Fast forward to now, and it seems like 50 finally has time for Budden. After years of keeping their beef low-key, he's been coming at him harder than ever, trolling him non-stop.